was the heart of our community, driving growth and innovation. Today, Vallejo stands as a testament to resilience and progress, honoring its past while embracing a bright future.
The new SR 37 Fairgrounds Drive Diverging Diamond Interchange, or DDI project, will improve safety and multimodal access while adding capacity to support decades of future growth. Traffic studies of the Fairground Drive corridor show that construction of a DDI will reduce congestion and improve traffic flow. Pedestrian crossing times will be faster and safer, and walking distances from transit will be shortened. Many drivers report that DDIs are intuitive, and here's how they work. Drivers crossing the highway on Fairgrounds Drive southbound towards Six Flags will go through a traffic signal, cross to the opposite side of the road under the bridge, and then cross back over again through another traffic signal. Clear signage and striping ensure that vehicles follow the correct path. Traffic traveling northbound on Fairgrounds will do the same thing. At the first signal, they cross to the opposite side of the road, go under the highway bridge, and then cross back over again as they leave the DDI. Vehicles turning onto the freeway will have a free movement without stopping. This allows a lot more vehicles to move through the interchange than a conventional interchange configuration, and it helps reduce wait times. Vehicles exiting the freeway will be controlled by traffic signals to allow for safe merging of vehicles and safe passage of pedestrians within the crosswalks. Bicycles travel through the DDI in marked green shading bike lanes and remain to the right of vehicular traffic. Pedestrians will travel through the barrier-protected center median and cross at the signals at each end of the DDI. All crosswalks are protected by traffic signals, helping to improve safety. This shows where the new bus stop will be located and how the bus will travel through the intersection to get to and from the bus stop. This project is brought to you by the Solano Transportation Authority, Caltrans, Solano County, and the City of Vallejo.
Hello, I'm Kevin Brown, Public Information Officer with the Vallejo Fire Department. We're out here today at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, where we held a large training evolution from multiple agencies across the East Bay area. The Vallejo Fire Department played as host, but we have representatives from Solano County, Napa County, and Contra Costa County hazmat teams, California Offices of Emergency Services, Solano Offices of Emergency Services, as well as numerous other local agencies. The purpose of today's drill was to simulate a hazardous materials incident spill inside the park that produced several dozen mock patients. We took those patients through a simulated real-world hazardous material experience. Those patients were transported to several local area hospitals within the county, both by ground ambulance from Medic Ambulance Company, as well as by helicopter, CHP H-30 and REACH helicopter service. It's a phenomenal way for us to practice our interagency drills and communications to ensure that if a real-world incident like this were to occur anywhere in our region, we can rally up our resources quickly and provide the local community with top-notch professional emergency first aid fire rescue service. As a thank you to all the participating agencies today, big thank you from us, the Vallejo Fire Department and City of Vallejo, to all the local fire departments, Solano, Napa, and Contra Costa County hazmat teams, as well as Medic Ambulance, Pace Solano to serve as a transport agency, and again, Discovery Kingdom for serving as the host venue.
Well, Vallejo is a great place to live and work. For many of us, we lived in Vallejo and we drove outside the county for many years. And we realized that we were really missing an opportunity to remain in the county and put our tax dollars to work here in the county. And so many of us are now working in Solano County and remaining, having our homes in Vallejo. It's a great place to live.
It is 4:30. We will call this meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Roll call. Chair Trumper,
Here.
Vice Chair Benson,
Here.
Commissioner Tehima, he's ill, he will not be in attendance. Commissioner Beecher,
Here.
Commissioner Kent,
Here.
Commissioner Petka,
Here.
Commissioner Perry, he has turned in his resignation earlier this week, so he won't be in attendance. So we have a quorum of 5.
Can I inquire of the city when the next round of nominations and applications for commissioners would happen?
They
Since we have an
just
opening.
completed a round, so they will begin one soon. That was what the city clerk, when she sent the resignation to the city council, she said that she would put this particular commission on the list for the next round of interviews, appointments and interviews.
Thank you. Moving into reports, is there a report from city staff?
I do not have a report this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Our council liaison is not here. I am the McCune Foundation liaison. My report on that front is that we met earlier this summer and set the intention of, since the McCune Foundation is sort of the fundraising arm to support the work and preservation of the collection, that it would make sense to more closely align the strategic direction that we all set in the work plan with the work of the foundation. And so since we're having this meeting tonight that focuses on developing the work plan further, the next step with the foundation would be my reporting back to them on where that work plan is headed, what the priorities are looking like, what the timeline is for completing the work plan, so that then they could align their activities of the foundation with the work plan. Report from the chair. I have, I think I would just want to say I attended the First Friday Art Walk exhibit that the McCune, that was held in, that the McCune participated in. We just had the second one last week, which I wasn't able to attend, the second exhibit. But regarding the first exhibit, it was really well attended, pulled out a great crowd of people, and I thought was an all-around success. So kudos to Commissioner Beecher for spearheading that and getting those going again. Are there any other announcements from commissioners? And
I'd just like to express appreciation for the outgoing Commissioner Perry for keeping us in quorum while he did. It was very timely.
I didn't hear, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Could you speak into the mic a little louder, please?
I was just expressing appreciation for the outgoing Commissioner Perry for his for keeping the commission in quorum while he was here.
Thank you. And I also want to pause and take a moment to welcome our new commissioner, Zachary Kent, and invite you to say a few words of introduction.
My name's Zachary Kent. I moved here this year from Texas. I have a background in fine arts bookmaking and letterpress going back before I can remember.
Thank you for stepping up and putting in your application and joining us. Moving into activity reports, is there an update on the website activity?
Yes, you may recall that I missed the last two meetings for various reasons, so you would think there would be more, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages that have been added since. I won't list them all because they're all single pages. If you would pass that down to the city rep.
Thank you. And updates on the volunteer program.
Well, former Commissioner Ken Inez is still volunteering with taking photography of the collection. There's no other active volunteers at this point since Zachary's now a commissioner.
Thank you for the updates. Community forum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Currently do not have any members of the public signed up for this item. I did start a timer on screen for interested parties to sign up for that forum. At the conclusion of the timer, if anybody signs up, I'll be sure to let you know, but feel free to carry on with the agenda.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the approval of agenda and minutes, starting with, do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda of the special meeting of the McCune Commission?
I move that we accept the agenda.
Anyone second?
I'll second.
Approval of the September 17, 2025 special agenda. Approval was moved by Vice Chair Benson, second by Commissioner Kent. Roll call. Chair Trumper,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson, Commissioner Beecher,
Aye.
Commissioner Kent,
Aye.
Commissioner McPecca.
Aye.
Passed 5-0. Thank you. Allergies. Oh, next are the minutes. Approval of the minutes.
Any comments on the minutes from our June 2nd meeting? If not, could I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 2nd?
I'll motion to accept the minutes.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you.
Motion made by Commissioner Beecher and seconded by Commissioner Kent to approve the minutes of, of the June 2nd, 2025 meeting. Roll call. Chair Trumper,
Yes.
Vice Chair Benson,
Aye.
Commissioner Beecher,
Aye.
Commissioner Kent,
Aye.
Commissioner Petka.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item would be to review acquisitions of items offered to the McCune collection, and I would like to propose that we table that until the October meeting, which is just a couple of weeks away, so that we can focus our time on the work plan development tonight. So I suppose I move that we table item 7A until our October meeting. Is that my prerogative?
It's been tabled, yes. Can we do it by consensus? It doesn't need to be voted on.
Sorry, through the chair. I would have guessed we should have done that at approval of agenda by taking it off the agenda at the time, but I'm sorry. Do you have items to consider?
We do. Well,
We do. Okay.
Since we missed the window to table the item, then let's go ahead and move through this item
Okay,
that we
okay.
have here. Commissioner Beecher, would you like to present the rationale for how this item fits into the
Yes,
focus of the collection?
We'd added to Californiana. It's, the donor is, a potential donor is Diana Krebsky. She's presented at the McCune in the past, and she's had artwork exhibits. She was fond of Julie Stratton and couldn't make the memorial that was held for her, so she's put a hand-inscribed note inside to recognize Julie's, long-time efforts to keep the McCune open. And it's her self-published kind of a cartoon sort of, I don't know exactly what, Book of Qualms, Fine Art Tuning by Diana Krebsky. So we have other items that other presenters and exhibitors have offered to, and they've since entered the collection, so it's in the same vein.
Since we don't have a formal acquisitions committee at this time, Commissioner Beecher, do you recommend accepting this into the collection?
Yeah, I would, just based on what I described.
Do any of the other commissioners have any comments or questions about the piece?
Oh, and through the chair, just to remind the commissioners that because the commission can't accept property that is maintained, that is owned by the city, even though it's the foundation that owns it, you'll make a recommendation to the city council. So this would be, an affirmative vote to accept it would still go to the council.
Thank you for that clarification. That helps. We're just giving commissioners a couple of minutes to review the piece. Does anyone have any statements in support of recommending that the city accept this into the collection or against it? Then I move that we recommend to City Council that they accept this work by Diana Krebsky into the McCune collection. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion was made by Chair Trumper, seconded by Commissioner Beecher to accept the book by Diane Krebsky. Recommend that the City Council accept the book by Diane Krebsky to be part of the McCune collection. Roll call. Chair Trumper.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vincent.
Aye.
Commissioner Beecher.
Aye.
Commissioner Kent.
Aye.
Commissioner Petka.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7B, have there been any submissions of receipts for reimbursement? for this last period? No? Item 7C, any further, we already talked about volunteering, but any comments on docent participation?
Well, in the interest of time, I'll forego, I usually provide details of who's exhibiting and who's going to exhibit next. We can do that the next meeting. But as was mentioned, the turnout has exceeded expectation over the last 3 art walks, so we're very pleased on that. And I just put in a quick word that, additional support from commissioners and spending an hour or so on an art walk night to help Doshin will go a long way.
Thank you. I second that. We are a working commission, and showing up to help is really important in all the different ways that we can. But it's also just really satisfying to see so many people coming out at the McCune, because often it feels kind of empty down there. Okay, new business. Treasurer's report. We have the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 treasurer's report that is included in the packet. Do any commissioners have any questions or comments regarding or concerns regarding the year-end report for 2025? Commissioner Petka, your light is on. Did you want to? Okay, just checking. The leftover funds that were unspent from the projected draw from the endowment simply remain in the endowment to continue to grow. Is that correct? Yes. All right, then we are voting to approve the treasurer's report for year-end June 30th, 2025. I will make the motion to accept the report.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Chair Trumper, seconded by Vice Chair Benson to accept the Treasurer's Report ending June 30, 2025. Roll call. Chair Trumper.
Oops, aye.
Vice Chair Benson.
Aye.
Commissioner Beecher.
Aye.
Commissioner Kent.
Aye.
Commissioner Petka.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to this year's budget, we would like to reallocate some funds now that we are participating in Art Walk again. We require security services for the evening, so it's a matter of reallocating projected $1,300 of the City of Vallejo stipend to security. Is this something we need to vote on? Yes. Any questions, comments, concerns? Just to make a motion.
I motion that we approve the reallocation.
I second.
We talked about it already. Motion by Commissioner Beecher, seconded by Vice Chair Trumper to approve the reallocation of $1,300 of the City of Vallejo stipend in the current budget towards security. Roll call. Chair Trumper.
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson.
Aye.
Commissioner Beecher.
Aye.
Commissioner Kent.
Aye.
Commissioner Petka.
Aye.
Motion is carried 5-0. Thank you.
Next item, 8C, preservation. And the topic is that we identified a set of 5 books: The Life of George Washington, for restoration work by Karen Zukor Conservation at a prior meeting, and since then, the city has signed a contract with Zukor to conduct the work. The update as of Tuesday is that they have not begun any of the work as of yet. They project to be working on the project in October and to have the books, all of the volumes, completed and ready for pickup in late October or early November. Since the city signed the contract, the commissioners have learned that the McCune commissioners and then the McCune collection actually has the capability to do a portion of the work ourselves. We have archival materials and the know-how among the commissioners to create the archival boxes, not to do the stabilization work on the historic material, but the portion to create the archival boxes. So in the interest of being good stewards of the McCune limited funds, I would like to explore the possibility of revising, amending the contract with Karen Zukor to only complete the stabilization work and not to spend the $1,500 to create archival boxes, which we could do in-house as volunteers for no additional cost.
Can I comment?
Yes, Commissioner
Well,
Beecher.
I certainly very much support the concern out of fiscal prudence to not use funds where we have the kits, the professional kits are sitting in the McCune room right now to create these enclosures, and we've done a couple in the past, so we're familiar with this. And this is also, when you said a portion, it's like 90%. It's over $1,500 of the $2,000 that the contract would specify. But it begs immediately the question, we'd not like to see the money go unused. And we have an arrangement with Karen not to exceed $2,500. I really feel there's a good justification for completing full treatment of one book. And I say that because we're contemplating what's going to happen with the entire set at some point. And with this kind of work, you can't really appreciate what the end result is until you see one completed. And her quote for this is around 2,000, maybe a little over 2,000, wouldn't exceed the 2,500. With one completed, perhaps, fortunate, it'll be enough, robust enough that the public can handle it, and then they have one representative example of the whole set. Plus, we'll be much better informed as to where to go with the other four. Maybe with one good one, we don't work, we'll say, okay, we don't really even need to do the other four. We'll just hold on to them in enclosures. We might be so thrilled with the outcome that over time, we never do all of them in one budget cycle. We do the rest of them. But at least we'd be acting from an informed point. Simply putting all 5 in enclosures, although it's better than leaving them open, informs us no more than we are now. And we'd be making use of funds that otherwise don't carry over, unlike the endowment money that stays in the endowment. It just goes away.
Thank you. One point of clarity is that the funds, the preservation funds from the 2025 fiscal year budget are fully encumbered now with the contract to Karen Zukor Conservation. And so there's no risk of those funds being returned. They are dedicated to preservation, utilizing Karen Zukor and Associates services.
Right.
Through the chair, I just want to cut off. I need to look at the contract. I'm not seeing that that's included in the scope. let me look at this and come back and report to you before you get too far afield, because I'm not sure that you could cancel the contract, that these boxes are even, or archival.
The boxes are part of the scope of work that she submitted, and.
But I'm not sure that it's in the scope of work that's in the contract. I'm not seeing that.
In any case, I'm not asking to cancel a contract, but to amend the contract.
I know, but I just like to, we could look over the contract together.
Great. While Attorney Zagaroli is doing that, are there any other comments from commissioners on the topic?
I thought she hadn't done any work.
It doesn't seem to me a good investment to restore these books. It seems like we would be spending what is essentially the value of these books to restore them. I think stabilizing them is fine, and given the number of people asking to handle them, which is next to zero, I think stabilizing should be good enough until such time as either a pressing need or more generous funds are available.
So we forego more than $1,500?
We're not foregoing funds. The funds can be used for other preservation work as long as the services are completed by Karen Zukor, who is one of our go-to preservationists. The funds would not be lost. I would like to suggest that I think a prudent course of action would be to complete the work plan, because part of the work plan would be to create a more robust plan for preservation and how to identify which works need preservation, stabilization, conservation, etc. And that would guide the future spend down of these funds that are under contract with Karen Zukor. So I would like us to explore that we see if we can amend the contract to not spend the money on the archival boxes, rather have her only stabilize the work, and then table consideration of whether to fully preserve any books in this particular set once we've completed the work plan and decided on a course of action of how we prioritize works for conservation. Commissioner Beecher.
Yes. Do you know what kind of timetable we have when funds are encumbered? I mean, we've encumbered them before, but always just for 3-4 months till something was completed. We've never open-ended encumbered.
My understanding is that we have the rest of this.
The contract is till December of this year.
Until December. So we would.
Until December?
The end of December, the end of this calendar year, 2025.
I see. Well, I hope we can do something.
And I imagine that actually I don't know, a question for city staff would be if Karen Zukor does not complete the work, any work for the McCune, if something happens and she does not complete these books as her update indicated by December something, then what does happen to those funds?
We would ask the finance department to reallocate them to a current budget, whatever current budget you have, so they're not lost.
So they're not lost?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's never happened in 9 years.
The question is, but they're encumbered, but does it have to stick with the same contract? No, I'm saying, no, that's my question to you, so it's clear. Because I know in the past we encumber funds, but it's with a contract.
But her hypothetical was if the contract were not completed. So Ms. Zucker says we're not going to do the work under the contract. So the contract is terminated. What happens to the funds? That was your question?
That was my question.
Yeah.
Right, and so the funds aren't, we can talk offline, because I couldn't.
Yeah, let's talk offline.
Does staff need time to look into whether we can amend the contract, or do you have advice on that now?
Well, the contract itself doesn't specify what she put in her invoice. So it doesn't really need to be amended. We just need to speak to her and tell her and clarify.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
So that
And
is what we would
we
like
need
to
to
see.
maybe look into what this clamshell box thing looks like and whether, unless you already know, but you do, you know, okay. So we just tell her I guess we've already paid for the clamshell boxes, so I guess we want to tell her, well, Annette says she's paid it.
Well, we've paid one half. With
okay.
Karen, we pay half of the contract. With Ms. Zucker, we pay
Half of the
half
invoice.
of the contract. So if the work without the clamshell boxes is the work minus the clamshell boxes.
It's
which was-
$150 per box is what it looks like to me.
More than $1,500 total.
on the
Well, on the invoice,
Labor and material, right, for most of the days.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at it right now. And
that
it
was the
said-
first. That's the invoice for the first.
It says custom clamshell boxes, 4 hours at $150 an hour, $600. Oh, I guess it's for 2 books. 2 clamshell boxes with title, volume, and date for 2 volumes. I misspoke. So $300 per book. 5 books? Yeah.
Perfect, yes. Do we need to vote on this as a full commission, that we would like to remove the clamshell boxes from this work order?
Sure. Well, it's not on the agenda, but I mean, if you have a consensus, if anyone disagrees, raise your hand. Otherwise, staff will contact Ms. Zucker and change. Okay.
Excellent. Thank
So,
you.
so just to make sure, by consensus, the commission would like to remove the clamshell boxes from the agreement with Karen Zucker. Is that correct? I just need a nod of heads from everyone. So, thank you.
And my understanding then would be that the down payment that Karen Zucker has already received would then be a credit we have with the firm for future work. Since she is not completing.
She has all 5 volumes, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Item 8D, commission work plan discussion. In September of 2024, we had a special meeting where we reviewed, we discussed potential priority areas of work that the commission could focus on to fulfill our responsibilities to the McCune collection. In a subsequent meeting, regular meeting, we established we clarified or agreed on 3 priorities to begin with, and those are cataloging the work, creating a more robust and forward-looking preservation plan, and continuing to work on community programming and community access to the collection. I think what's needed next is to flesh out what those plans would look like. I've provided in your packets tonight some kind of my further notes and ideas on where to go with this work, as well as the existing notes that we've been working from. And what I'd like to propose is that we spend time tonight looking at those 3 priority areas that we agreed on, and brainstorming together as a full commission a bit on potential items that should be under each of those priority areas to form the basis of a work plan for the next 3 to 5 years. So what I'm proposing is that we spend some time brainstorming under each of these categories to get everyone's ideas on the record, and then also establish a point person for each of the areas. And hopefully between the 5 of us, we will all sign up for at least one of these areas and do some individual work to flesh out what a work plan in each of these areas would look like. Any questions about what I have in mind for our time tonight? No questions. All right. Then I'll take that as agreement that we'll do this work together. So for cataloging, a few notes that I included in the document I shared with you. That cataloging would serve to support preservation and access, our other 2 priority areas, by giving us a better way of knowing what all is in the collection so that it's accurate, it's up to date, that we're using current standards in the field for cataloging a collection of this kind. It should include accession numbers, accession records, so we know where works came from, when they were added, the reasoning behind why they were added, a standard numbering system. Some of these things we have, and so I think part of the work plan would be to see if they meet sort of current established best practices in the field. Other ideas have been, under conservation, have been to, under cataloging, have been to use current technologies to make our catalog shareable on bigger platforms, such as the Online Archive of California. Over the last year, based on the work we had already done, some individual commissioners have met with librarians, with archivists, with peers in the field, and collected information from them about best practices. So I think where we need to go with the cataloging item is to combine all that information and know-how and establish a cataloging protocol, but also next steps, which is what a work plan is all about, that we have really clear next steps of, what's the first thing we need to do in order to move this work forward, to have an accurate and shareable complete record of the items in the collection. And I will pause there, and with a reminder that this is a brainstorming session, not a time to agree or disagree, but to share ideas of important points, considerations, steps, guidance, advice for creating the cataloging work plan.
I would like to speak on that.
Excellent.
Because I spoke to, I'll lean in a little closer. I spoke to a number of librarians, a cataloging specialist at the San Francisco Public Library, the librarian of the Book Club of California, and a public librarian in Marin County. I did some informational interviews to ask about what goes into cataloging, asking, is this something volunteers can do? And I was told it's not really, it's something volunteers can help with, but cataloging really needs to be guided by a professional. I looked at a number of platforms for hosting catalogs because card catalogs are a thing of the past now. A Excel spreadsheet can be a catalog, but there are library platforms now specifically for holding databases of collections like the McCune. The best one that I seem to see, although I'm sure there are other options I didn't look at, was something called TinyCat. It's a cataloging system that is built on the model of professional library catalogs, but it's made for either small institutions like the McCune or private collections. It's a web-based database that would be linkable to our website so that it's publicly accessible, but it would also serve as a public record, which we don't really have in a clear, concise, easily accessible form for this collection. So I mean, in an ideal world, I would like to see us get the money, either ask the city for the money or apply for grants or raise money to be able to hire somebody to direct this. I think it would be somebody who works on a part-time basis and helps guide volunteers who do a lot of the grunt work of actually entering the data. But to my mind, we can't really afford not to have a real professional catalog of what is in this collection. And I will step down and allow other people to comment.
Commissioner Beecher.
Yeah, I'm just curious whether, Joel, if you looked at what fees come with TinyCat?
TinyCat fees are $8 a month.
What do you?
For institutions of this size, they are about $8 a month to host.
Are there other, sometimes they put not to exceed so many records, or how many fields can be accommodated in a single record? There's a lot of nuances.
I'm sorry, I just simply looked at the, their pricing was based on the number of items you have in your collection.
Yeah, we need.
I'm sorry.
It's about 3,000.
Please wait until you're called on. I think that's the protocol. And remember, we are not deciding tonight on the course of, we're not making decisions like this, such as, are we going to use TinyCat or not? We're trying to flesh out what would need to be included in a work plan. What's the step-by-step process we need to go through in order to move forward with cataloging. So, for instance, one item in the work plan would be to explore available platforms for catalogs such as ours. A next step would be to, narrow them down and compare based on features and costs. And then ultimately that choice would need to be voted on by the commission. So the work plan just needs to get us to the point where we can vote on the things that need to be voted. Any other input on the cataloging work plan and steps we would need to take?
Have we evaluated how much we have cataloged already and what format it's in? Are there big holes in what we've cataloged so far, which is basically an Excel spreadsheet? And I know that volumes and artwork have been done in spreadsheet form, if I understand what I've been looking at on the Tuesdays that I've been in the room. I spent a lot of time in my early volunteer days going through the decorative tools and identifying, in accordance with a professional that we had come in and advise this is the way to catalog these sort of things. Numbers sound over 400 decorative tools sound about right. And they're sorted in an old catalog file drawer by manufacturer. There's nothing that says how big they are, what the impression is, what the picture comes out of it. That's a big chunk of cataloging information that we don't already have. I don't really see how that would be applied to the spreadsheet format that we already have for two other major aspects of the collection, artwork and books. So I think before you start looking out at what you want to do for a catalog platform going forward, you want to take a close look at what you already have cataloged and what your holes are and how easily you're going to be able to transfer that. And that should be one of the considerations of any platform you have going forward.
Excellent, thank you. Commissioner Beecher, did you want to comment?
Not especially.
Okay. Commissioner Benson, did you want to comment? I see your lights on, that's why I'm calling on you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any other ideas, just brainstorming ideas of things to consider to help shape the cataloging work plan? I think it's also important in cataloging in the other areas to also talk with the commissioners, individual commissioners, and the volunteers who've been really involved in the work already. I know one of our stalwart volunteers has spent a lot of time digitizing and photographing, not digitizing, I guess, but photographing records. And so to tap into that know-how of the collection, I think is really important too. All right, do we have a volunteer from among the commissioners who would like to head up developing the work plan steps for the cataloging component?
I will volunteer.
Excellent. Commissioner Benson will volunteer. I am imagining that I can work with each of the sort of lead people in the areas so that you have a sounding board and a thinking partner. Would anyone else, one of the other commissioners, like to work on the cataloging area?
Yes, I'd like to mention, without trying to toot my horn too much, but a good chunk, more than 20 years of my professional life was with secondary publishing. So Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature is probably the best known, which is all now electronic, but it used to be green volumes. So that has significant overlap with technology and cataloging, and so I'd be happy to support the effort without necessarily driving it, but I can inform it in a number of ways.
Excellent, thank you. All right, then next up would be brainstorming around the preservation area. So some of the notes I have there are that we need to create a conservation plan. We had one that we had someone assess the works in the collection and create a list of works that needed restoration, stabilization, etc. And so we've worked through that list and need a new list of priority items. But in addition to that, I think there might already be guidance in the draft handbook that exists. But utilizing any documentation, historical documentation about how these decisions have been made in the past, we should come up with a set of criteria, I think, of how we decide what works need to be conserved and what our approach is. For instance, with the set that Karen Zukor currently has in her hands to do stabilization work on, the question has come up, are these works that are accessed all the time and need to be really strong so that the public can work with them, or are we trying to keep them more in original condition as examples from the period? And so having answers to questions like that we agree on, instead of having to discuss them item by item, might make sense to include in a preservation work plan to create those kinds of guidelines for ourselves. I've also, in the notes I shared, under preservation, it might also include enhancing display options to better highlight items in the work. We had recent conversations about, investing in appropriate display stands. And then also under preservation could be sort of monitoring and assessing the collection conditions, such as lighting, fluorescent versus LED, and what's better for the collection, making sure that there's some touch point with facilities around climate control and security and access, which is in the city's realm. But as to like the health of the work in the collection, I think that also falls under preservation. Does anyone else, since I'm speaking a lot, does anyone else have any ideas or considerations to include in the work plan, developing the work plan for preservation of the collection?
I see the preservation, at least as far as establishing priorities and creating a conservation plan, as being really connected to the cataloging, because the cataloging is where you are going through and looking at every single thing and recognizing what needs to be done. And I don't see it itemized here under preservation or under assess and monitor conditions, but I think looking at the shelving that the books are sitting on, and there have been concerns expressed about the concrete outer wall and whether that is a liability to the preservation of the books. Those would be things to consider as part of this.
Thank you, that's helpful. Any other thoughts on preservation and what we need to be on top of to be on top of preserving the collection?
The only thing I'd note is that, it's been a number of years now that we've been fortunate to have that additional 2,500 to work with, and to have it go to good use. Essentially, we went after all the low-hanging fruit, as they say. So all the most obvious things in the vault and elsewhere that to the average eye were like, yeah, this is not looking in good shape. It probably could use some attention. So at this point, it gets to be where there are probably corrective actions to be taken and remediation and so forth, but not so obvious. It would take, a trained eye. So, and that could, again, unless someone's graceful enough to volunteer their time as an expert in that area or some expertise in that area, to come in, because that can't be done remotely, or if we have a way to pay for some, come in and, that more, less obvious need.
Great, that's really helpful too. All right, would any of the commissioners like to be a part of working on the preservation work plan to flesh out the actual steps we need to take to fulfill our duties to preserve the collection? All right. Well, if you change your minds, let me know. Otherwise, I will take that one.
Through the chair, a question. Is this something that Commissioner Tehima was working on? Because I know he's the one, along with Vice Benson, selected the volumes that went to Karen Zucker. So I know he's not here, but the question is, has he been working on preservation or looking at books? When we can reach out to him as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Does anybody, Commissioner Beecher, do you know if he's been working on preservation during his Saturday docenting hours?
We have like an active preservation project or something?
No?
That's
Okay.
why we were scrambling with what to do this,
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
end of last fiscal year.
yeah.
Uh,
Thank you.
Commissioner Beecher, please cut your light on and speak into it, please.
All right. I can reach out to Vince to talk with him about interest in any of these work areas. All right, so the third one is programming and access. I think that's something we've all been involved in. It encompasses docenting, I think, special events, exhibits, and there are new directions it could go in, to partner with other, complementary organizations, to partner with educators. And I think it's also tied to cataloging and to preservation questions. But cataloging for sure, that the more we understand what all is in the collection and that the outside community understands what is in the collection, the more relevant it can be to them and their interests. And then preservation, of course, depending on what kind of access the public wants to have to the collection, that sort of guides what condition the work needs to be in to hold up under being viewed and handled, and also how we display it. So those are my thoughts on programming and access. Does anyone else have thoughts? Would any of my fellow commissioners like to be involved in working up the next steps that would guide a work plan for the next several years around increasing access to the collection?
I would suggest, without, well, immediately, but that this one of all three would work well with at least a two work,
Yeah.
of equal status, because it's quite broad, from education to volunteers to ongoing activities like art walk.
And, yeah, and just to clarify, by heading it up, I don't mean that you're solely responsible for it. I'm happy to be a thought partner, and I think we all bring expertise. That's why we're on the commission, right?
So if I had a I would step forward.
Yeah, one thing to
I'll co.
be.
I'll work with you on it, yes.
Attorney Zagaroli, if we have two people working together, do we need to make this a formal subcommittee, or?
You could, yeah. It's not a quorum, you're not but yeah, if you're going to have two people working, I mean, for how long are you going to be working on this?
Well, that's my next question, is to set ourselves some timelines to complete some next steps so that we can hold ourselves accountable to moving this forward.
I mean, if you're going to be reporting to the commission and you're going to be working regularly, you could do that. You could also work independently of a subcommittee, because you're not a quorum. I mean, all subcommittees are not a quorum by nature, but by defining it as giving it a name and giving it a purpose, you're clarifying its role. So I think by forming a subcommittee, by saying you're going to be working on this aspect of the work plan and reporting back to the committee by thus and such date, you're helping. It's more clear, and I think that would be my advice, to do it that way.
Okay. Does that mean we have to publicly notice subcommittee meetings?
No.
No. Okay.
No, but you have to put it on the agenda that you're going to form a subcommittee. So, you'd have to take a vote
But we can't do that tonight. We'd have to do that
next time.
next time.
Yeah.
Okay, in the meantime,
No,
we're
it's-
still
excuse-
proceed independently, because
If-
we all need to be thinking about these areas anyway.
If I may, on the agenda regarding work plan, review and discuss the updated proposed work plan submitted by Chair Trumper, select 3 commissioners to further develop each of priority areas for final review of the work plan by the full commission. So it is on the agenda somewhat. That was your language.
Sorry, through the chair. Forming a subcommittee and giving it is not on the agenda.
So when you say select 3 commissioners, that's not necessarily forming a subcommittee?
No, because she was talking about individual members that were going to work independently of one another.
Since it's not a requirement that we form official subcommittees to do this, then perhaps it makes the most sense for Henry to head up programming and access, Commissioner Beecher, and to feel free to speak with other experts who could be volunteers or experts in the field, to inform the work plan, and you two docent together on Saturdays. And so it would be natural for you to talk about plans for access and engagement while you are actually there docenting for access and engagement. And then at a future meeting, we could formalize these into subcommittees. But this is a work plan we've been working on for the last years, and I think the next step is that some individual work needs to happen. Like, we need to step up and own it and move this work forward. And I think we each have an area that we're interested in, which is why we're on the commission and spend time in the collection. And so this work plan is really about organizing our intentions so that we're all moving in the same direction, and make sort of the best focused use of our resources, whether that's our time, our funds, additional funds, volunteers, et cetera. So can we put it on the agenda, on the future's agenda, or whatever kind of agenda item it needs to be for us to be able to formally create these subcommittees for the next meeting?
Yes, I will continue to have the topic work plan on the agenda, and the recommendation would be to form subcommittee, ad hoc subcommittees.
Okay. So our next meeting is on October 6th. So that's really just a couple weeks away. It would be lovely if each of the people who just stepped up to head each of these areas could give a little update about at least intentions at our October 6th meeting. But then I would love for us to be able to set sort of a timeline of when we might have a fuller report or an outline of a draft work plan to present to the commission for initial feedback. Let's see, we're meeting in October, so no meeting in November, a meeting in December. So how would it feel if we try to have a draft for review, not necessarily for vote, but for comment, in each of these areas to the full commission for the December meeting? Does that sound too ambitious? Commissioner Beecher, does that sound too ambitious? You're one of the people heading up a big area.
You know, having a little bit of sense of what,
What a work plan would look like. I can provide further
Yeah.
guidance on that, of
So-
sort of a outline of what the components of a work plan would look like. And then it's more the content that, like, I don't want to write the whole work plan. I'd like this to be a collaborative process, because there's so much expertise on this
did you want to
commission.
start with goals and then work from there, or I'm not, or jump right into strategy? I don't know.
I think starting with a description of what the area of work means, so like a definition of, for instance, your area of what we mean by programming and access, goals of what do we hope to, I don't know, like we want to grow access by, 25% year over year, or we want to attract, we want to develop a educational curriculum. I'm making things up. I'm not trying to dictate what they are. So setting some goals, and then a roadmap of how to accomplish those. So to get educators involved, we would need to do some outreach at specific, we'd need to identify areas of the collection that warrant, that lend themselves to creating curriculum around, that are aligned with blah, blah, blah. So basically a step-by-step, how would we actually implement to reach those goals?
Well, we could have some of that.
Yeah, and by December. Yeah, just a initial first draft to look at, just to hold ourselves accountable and move this stuff forward by December. No one's going to be graded. We just want to further the work and have a conversation about it.
I'm here to support you in this, so just put step one, whatever the magic is that you do for the art walk artists, and then step two, dump everything else on me, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Excellent. All right. So do we have consensus that we will, at the October 6th meeting, each of the heads will say a few words about, so you've had a couple, 2-3 weeks to think about the work plan. So just to give a quick update about how you're going to approach this, some ideas you've had, how you're going to move, just a quick update. And then at the December meeting, have an initial, incomplete, but an initial draft for all of us to review, and you could get some feedback on it at the December meeting, and then we'll set the next step from there. Does that sound like something you all could agree to? We have consensus on next steps? Okay, I don't.
Since you currently have a vacancy, and I know that I have significant surgery scheduled for October 2nd, and I may not be here on the 6th, your quorum is a little shaky, so you may want to get in touch with a few other people to make sure you have enough people to go forward with a quorum on that. I'm just...
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that, thanks. All right, then, any feedback on our discussion of the work plan? Was this helpful? I feel like I'm talking into a void and dragging you all along. Does this feel productive? Do you guys feel like we're heading in a direction together? Do you want to do this? Are you doing this? Oh, like, are you wishing that I wasn't asking you to do this? I mean, can I get a little feedback?
It's To have some sort of structure, I think, to where our vision is, I think it also is a matter of, you know, I'm not sure how to phrase it. You know, it's a matter of what will, you know, are we committing ourselves to something if we discovered that some of the steps that we put forward for a work plan are just non-starters in terms of, you know, how what our initial ideas are and what our sort of, you know, how we end up finding out. You know, I don't imagine that there's a simple checklist of things that Commissioner Beecher could provide for how he manages to find the artists for art walks, but he lines them up and the speakers, you know, and it's great, you know. I think there's room for some framework to have better illustrated, and then at a certain point we're going to get into a gray area where it's like, well, we don't know what we're going to do next because we're going to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
So, was it our first time entertaining this sort of effort in this way, which is fine. I see, as you've outlined it for tonight and a couple of weeks in December, but it occurs to me there seems to be, you know, where, you know, there's divide and conquer. So we're taking like all three simultaneously by different individuals. We might just keep in the back of our minds if we get into like the middle of next calendar year, if this is kind of not going with the momentum that we might like, we could just take one of them and work collectively and divide the subparts of the one. And maybe, and again, I don't know, we don't have a crystal ball. I'm not, like I said, I'm kind of reluctant to say take the step back now. But if we get to that point, because then we'd all see how it worked. And then that would serve as a model. And then we might try spinning off 1, 2, or 1, 2, and well, just do the same thing like we all accomplished with that area and just apply it to a different area. But it's food for thought. I don't want to try, I mean, we've already kind of proposed, you know, for the next 2 meetings, so, but it's something to think about.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think when we start unearthing what we're going to need to do in each of these buckets, if it looks really overwhelming or too expensive for 1 year or something like that, then I think we're going to need to look at how to phase this work in and how to choose what takes priority. Because these things are interconnected, as you know, we noted that cataloging informs preservation and programming informs preservation, and it's all, and cataloging informs access. So yeah, let's give it a stab over the next couple of months. Let's give it a try over the next couple of months, and look forward to a fruitful conversation in December about how it looks and what the right tactic is. All right. Thank you all for your participation.
I'll just add to what you were saying in that I feel like what the purpose of the work plan is to put some intentionality into what we're doing instead of just maintaining, but to actually try to steer the ship. And I see all three of these things as being interconnected and aiding each other. And maybe one does just become the priority organically, and we end up just sort of focusing because it's working or whatever. But anything that we accomplish is going to be great. And anything that we're applying some intention to really aids, I think, in asking for money. It aids in asking for volunteers because we have an actual ask. Not just come volunteer without, an actual thing for somebody to do. So I don't think that this is a wasted effort to try to have a work plan. That's my only comment.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so we'll end, that's our last topic then for today. Our next meeting, as said, is on October 6th at the usual time with the regular agenda. And at 5:45, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
I forwarded you an email from the,
Yeah, I'm at work now. I switched
you're,
off of
you're,
Sundays.
you're not doing the Sundays.
No,
All right.
so if somebody else wants to step forward. I mean, I agree that it's a